How are we doing? Surviving the summer all right? Crazy one, huh? Okay, so today I'm here to help you take a little bit of your health back into your own hands. That's great, right? This is going to be so easy. Today we're going to learn how to make a corn silk tincture. A corn silk tincture. Now, this isn't a plant ally that you're going to really find out in the wild. But she is one that a lot of us have access to. Even if we live in the inner city, you can go buy ears of corn at the store. Now, of course, you'll want to make sure it's organic if you're going that route, so you're avoiding a bunch of pesticides and such. But basically, this is a sad little ear of corn. I planted 5 or 6 different test patch varieties here on the land to see who would do best on a really heavy clay soil. And we'll be working on amending the soil over the years to come. But for now, I'm like, who will grow this summer for me over the next few years as we work on that? And this little lady didn't do so great compared to the others. So I went ahead and harvested her tiny, here it is, mid-August, and she's just better off using her for healing than for food at this point. And this is the silk. Now basically what corn does, it's self-pollinating, meaning it doesn't rely on like bees or anything, and so it makes this silk here, and this is the female aspect of the plant, and then up on the top of the plant, the male aspect will make like these little pollen stalks, and the pollen blows. So think of the pollen like semen, let's just be honest there. And then this silk catches that, and then it goes down and it makes the seed. It pretty much it gets her pregnant, right? And so then the female aspect grows the corn, the food, the seed. There's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop this lady open, and I'm going to, just like you're shucking an ear of corn, except for right now, we're not looking for the corn because the corn, this particular corn isn't mature. I am after, let me peel her out of there, a little bit out of there. I am after the corn silk. Now you can do this with plants that are older where she's, ready to be eaten. Although actually growing up, my grandma would harvest corn like this really young because it's kind of a delicacy. I mean, some people don't like it, but it's really, you can eat the whole thing when they're babies like this. It's almost like the little baby canned corn. So I've saved all these. We'll definitely eat them. But for her healing abilities, I'm after all of her corn silk. Now, you can buy dried corn silk. However, I wouldn't make a tincture with it. I would use that for tea. So, what is corn silk good for? Corn silk got that word out real smooth, is amazing for all things bladder health. If you need a little bit of help passing a kidney stone, she's fantastic at that because she's going to help contract your bladder and get those stones to pass. If you need to prevent the calcification buildup, she's amazing at that. If you need to strengthen your bladder muscle so you stop having bedwetting issues, whether you're young or old, whichever, she's amazing for that. She's also great at lowering uric acid, which is what causes gout. Corn silk is such an overlooked ally. She really, really, really is. And she goes beyond just bladder health too. She is great at lowering high blood pressure. She's pretty good at stabilizing blood sugar. She's a bit of an anti-inflammatory. She's kind of just a really amazing lady. And it's so easy to access. Again, if you're not growing your own corn, because I know we don't all have the ability to do that, you can go to your local farmer's market or your local grocery store and find some corn. And you won't even need all that much because this was probably from like 6 or 7 immature ears of corn. Now, if you're getting the big ears that are ready and that had happy soil to grow in, you might only need 4 or 5 and you'll get quite a bit of silk off of her. And so now, all you're going to do is take your corn silk. I'm going to give it just a little bit of a chop. You don't need to pulverize her. You don't need to cut her up into oblivion. This is just so your alcohol has a little bit more surface level to extract from. All right? And you're going to find a jar that you can fill up, because you don't want one that's too small, clearly, but you also don't want one that's too big. So I've got about a pint jar here, or a little half-quart jar, and I'm just gonna do it like that. You notice I'm not shoving her down in there. If you have a ton, you don't want to try to make it fit, because then you won't have very much room for your alcohol. And so that was pretty easy. Now I'm going to take some 100 proof vodka. Now I use 100 proof vodka because it's 50% water, 50% alcohol. That means that my tincture will have an even blend of her water soluble properties and her alcohol soluble properties, and there's no math to do when I'm done. So basically I'm just pouring the vodka over top. Just like that, and you notice I'm filling it all the way to the top. That's because I don't overfilled it a little bit. I really don't want any air in there. And so when you leave air in your jar, what happens is it oxidizes. Now it's not the end of the world. It's kind of just like, you know, you've probably heard me say before, when you take a bite of an apple or you peel a banana and you leave it out and it turns brown, that's oxidation. Basically the oxygen is hitting the cellular structure of the plant, and it's causing cellular damage. And now it won't ruin your tincture, but it'll make it go dark, it'll make it a little bit weaker, and so just fill it up all the way to the top and you prevent that. And so now that I've put it in there and put some vodka over top of it and made a mess, I'm going to take a little label here and I'm going to slap it on there. You notice I put it on the top this time. I put it on the top this time because I filled her pretty full, and sometimes they weep and they'll come over the top of your label, but also it was wet. So that's it. Now I'm going to store this in a cool, dark place for 6 to 8 weeks, and when I'm done, I'm going to strain it out and I'm going to use as needed. It's really that simple. I like to have her on hand because my husband suffers from hereditary kidney stones, so it's not if he passes another kidney stone, it's when. I mean, this poor guy, he's probably passed over 100 kidney stones in his life. It's just no big deal now. I mean, it still hurts when he does it, but if he can be consistent at using his corn silk tincture and even a tea, he passes them quicker and not as often, because she does help prevent the buildup of calcification. But for bedwetting, she's fantastic because you can use her in the evening. So like I would do like a conjunction of like probably the tea during the daytime, the corn silk tea, and then the tincture in the evening. That way you're not putting extra liquids in there. But she is just a fantastic ally that a lot of people overlook, and she's, in ways, because you can buy her in the store, she's pretty accessible. And you can definitely buy the dried corn silk online pretty much at any herbal supplier, but I wouldn't use that to make a tincture. I feel like you really need her water soluble properties present when you're making a tincture, because I mean, this little piece of corn silk here, she doesn't really have a whole lot of volatile properties to her, which is like, think of something like catnip or lemon balm or oregano, something that has a lot of scent to it. That's because it has high volatile oil properties. And you generally need alcohol to get those properties out, and you need the water-soluble properties of this plant. So she doesn't have a lot of those volatile oils to be extracted. So you really need her water-soluble properties, because if you just eat some of this, tiny little piece, it's like a wet little noodle. You know, she's very moist, and so there's a lot of moist aspects to her that are water-based that you need to be extracting. So that was really easy, and even if it wasn't easy, you're still smart enough to do this. And I don't want you to let anyone in the herbal community or otherwise make you feel like you're not smart enough to do something, because you are. You can totally shuck an ear of corn, grab the silk out, pour some vodka over. You are absolutely smart enough and capable of doing that. And everything you learn here, everything you learn from a book you've read or from your curiosity or just getting out there and doing and being hands-on is valid. And you don't need to pay somebody thousands of dollars to help you retain that knowledge or to make your knowledge valid. I promise you are smart enough to do this. So if you like learning about, you know, corn silk or the other things I jabber about, if you like what I'm all about and what I'm trying to get out there in the world, world. Do me a favor and like, subscribe, comment, share, turn on notifications. If you're watching me on Instagram, come find me on YouTube. If you're watching me on YouTube, come find me on Instagram. All this stuff helps you learn more and helps get this information out there and helps me be seen. And I'm super grateful that you're here with me watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!